Convicted of murdering his wife 20 years after she went missing, Debbie Griggs was expecting her fourth child with Andrew when she was last seen in Kent in 1999. A lorry driver accused of manslaughter after 39 bodies were found in a refrigerated trailer in Essex appeared in court on video link. 25-year-old Maurice Robinson is due at the Old Bailey next month. A man who got stuck at the top of a 90-metre tower during the early hours of this morning has died. He was pronounced dead after specialist teams used ropes and a cherry picker to try to rescue him from Dixon's Chimney in Carlisle. The man was in his 50s and from the area. Superintendent Matt Kennerly is from Cumbria Police.
Specialist welfare police officers are supporting his family at this difficult time. An investigation will commence into the circumstances into how and why the man was on the chimney, and the constabulary will be informing Her Majesty's coroner.
Security officials are stepping up the monitoring of high-priority Islamist suspects in Britain following the death of the leader of Islamic State. It's understood the move as a precaution. And Prince Harry will attend Saturday's Rugby World Cup final between England and South Africa. The Duke of Sussex is patron of the Rugby Football Union. That's the latest. I'm Barry Weir.
Love Sport Radio on digital radio, online, mobile and smart speaker. This is the Arsenal Fans Show.
The Arsenal! The Arsenal! Good old Arsenal, we're proud to say that name. While we sing this song, we'll win the game. While we sing this song, we'll win the game.
You are listening to the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined in the studio with Gunners Tan, Dave Seeger, Charlie East and Sherlock Holmes himself, Chris Howard. The man never disappoints, always looking dapper, and we are here for the next hour to solve the next riddle, because there are a few, certainly, at Arsenal at the minute. Let me just remind you, because we are on YouTube streaming, Chris, so be careful what you do, yeah? Just remember, we're all friends here. We're all Arsenal fans. We're talking. We're all friends at the start because we don't know what we might say
Audience,
in the next hour.
that finger wasn't directed at you.
Well, we have to start, obviously, at the top. We're going to be talking everything about the Palace game, the VAR incidents. Obviously, there may be a few discussions involving the captain. Where do we stand on that one? Because obviously it's dominated the back pages today. That is for sure, especially at Love Sport Radio. Then we're going to be looking a little bit about the manager, because there seems to be a big divide at the minute with Arsenal fans. Team Emery, in or out? Where do you stand? Where is the camp? I'm glad you said that, Charlie. I want to pull you on that, because there may be a few other people in the studio who aren't necessarily of the same opinion as yourself. Then we will look towards the games this week. Carabao Cup action, Arsenal take on Liverpool there, then the big one on the weekend against Wolves. But first, let's start with the game itself before we look at a few incidents from the game. Chris, I'll start with you. Where did it all go wrong? 2-0 up.
I think we should be changing the starting music that we've got to boring Arsenal, because...
Or our show or in the stadium?
Yeah, maybe both. Because...
Riddle 1, solved.
Dave and I were just talking about this when we were just off air out in the hall, and it's not enjoyable going to watch Arsenal at the moment. And it's not enjoyable. There are so many things going on. I feel like there are so many things that we need to talk about tonight. We're probably not going to get enough time. But I went there yesterday and I didn't really enjoy the experience at all. I mean, what didn't help is the Granit Xhaka stuff. I think that was very a distasteful moment in the history of certainly the fans and the relationship with the fans that we've got. But the football that we're playing, I brought the wife along, and she was just probably...
Jinx.
more bored than
She's don't bring her again.
I tell you what, she's got a good record before this season, so 3-0, 3-goal clear margin.
You're only as good as your last game, Chris.
But yeah, exactly. But it was so. The problem that I've got with the way that we're performing, the way that we've performed all season, is in that final third. We are abysmal in that final third, but we have some very good footballers, some very creative footballers. They just are not clicking, they are not gelling, and we'll get to the manager eventually, but I think it's a symptom of the way that he's setting the team up.
Yeah, let's bring Dave in then, because I do want to talk about the game, because obviously that result in the week to Vitoria, we were 1-0 down, 2-1 down. We got the win, obviously, Pepe's magical moments. We felt like he finally announced himself on the Arsenal stage. And then this weekend, 2-0 up, I felt like we was going to race and dominate for the rest of the game. 3 points in the bag, obviously not to be. Are we sort of papering over the cracks at the minute?
Oh, you missed out the worst game of the week, which I was at, which is because this week also included Monday in Sheffield.
It's very true.
And that was probably the turning point for me, to be honest. Thursday didn't make any difference because it's a different team. I mean, it was lovely to see Pepe do what he did, and it's an amazing end to the game. But we weren't even good on Thursday in the Europa League, and we have been most of the season. You know, the sort of B team or the second string or the alternative team in the Carabao and the Europa has been almost a saving grace, because you know you're going to see fast, attacking, incisive football, and you're sort of thinking, when's that going to come in the Premier League side? It wasn't even there against Victoria this week, which is very disappointing. And Sunday was just, I mean, it's great to go 2-0 up early on, but I mean, they were just scrambled goals. I mean, it's nice we finally got someone who we can take a corner for the first time in 10 years since Santi left, which is great. But you know, I was in the ground. They were at my end. I don't really know what happened. I haven't watched it on telly later. I didn't think, gosh, we saw great goals. I was just relieved that we were 2-0 up. But what I thought would happen then, and I'm sure what we all hoped would happen, was, okay, our coach will allow the team to take the foot off the pedal, take the foot off the brake and actually really go for this and go for the jugular and win a game in style. After we'd seen our rivals, Chelsea and Leicester, do what they did, that's what I wanted to see. And nothing could have been further from the truth. He literally sat back and tried to soak up the pressure at home against Crystal Palace.
Well, Charlie, why didn't that happen then?
I disagree a little bit. I think he changed the formation. He set up as a 4-4-2, which he definitely does. We had quite a high press. We got the corners from pressing the front. The first one was Guendouzi, really pushed up. We nicked the corner, went 1-0 up. And this is before Emery's been around. Arsenal always seem to take the lead, and we do just naturally just sit back. And we thought the game, I thought it was dead. It was 2-0 up. We were cruising a bit too easy at the time, knocking the ball about. And they got that. We know Zaha what he's like, and on Callum Chambers, flat-footed. It was a penalty. I've seen it back, and I've seen we will go back talk about VAR later on. But and then as soon as they scored that goal, you just know the panic sets in round the ground, didn't it? And
I didn't even know we were playing 4-4-2, Charlie, to be honest.
Yeah, you could see it.
You could see Aubameyang and Lacazette were a lot further up, closer next to each other.
Yeah,
I saw us that left, and I thought it worked at first.
First 25 minutes, first half an hour, I think it was quite good. I think I'm going to go back to Emery again, because after half time, is this a mental fragility type thing that's just being instilled, and is it a symptom of the manager not being able to get his ideas across? I don't know, but Crystal Palace came out with a plan, with a structure, with drive. Emery, we had none of that.
Yeah, but if we go, you've just said we did set up first 25 minutes, 4-4-2. We had a good press. We go 2-1 up. The manager on the sideline doesn't then shout out, sit back. That's the players. That's the players then switching off. The manager's only on the sideline. The players are reacting. We started off the game really well. We pressed it, got a 2-0 lead, and then the players sat back. I don't want to keep trying to defend him, because we will go on about it. But the players need a share of responsibility here as well. Everyone seems to be pointing stuff at the manager. The players at the moment are also not doing maybe as they're asked. I just
think they're not. They don't look like they're playing with confidence in their own ability. That has to come from
the coaching staff. Don't just focus. Let's
the
focus on
because I think
coaching staff.
I know, having watched, when we were going to sign Ceballos, we all would have watched the clips of him.
Yeah,
I've seen the incisive passing. I've seen him play for Spain and be an incisive passer. I've seen him play for Arsenal. He does the neat things and and mopping up and everything close control really, really well, and then he plays an easy pass. Now, if he's going to be in the side and Ozil's out of the equation, he has to be stepping up and being that creative. Because Guendouzi, he's got a great lofted pass on him. Yeah. He'll run with the ball. He's not that creative. Xhaka's just devoid of confidence anyway. He's not passing like he used to be. So we need Ceballos to be that player and Pepe to be that player. They are both cutting back inside and playing a simple pass. Where does that come from?
Do you know what I would say as well? I've heard so many, again, we were talking about this, I've heard so many ex-pros talk about how confidence can really sap you and drain you, but actually also you need sometimes
confidence, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes when that lack of confidence sets in, what you try and do is you try and do the simple things. You go back to basics and doing the simple things. But it seems like these players are afraid of doing anything else.
They don't want to make a mistake.
They don't want to make a mistake. And
but even Aubameyang's not making the runs you expect him to make.
No, and actually in the second half, so Tierney in the first half was overlapping.
He's done all right in the first half, didn't he?
And Tierney was looking good.
The only positive,
and Chambers wasn't really overlapping as much. All right, he's not a fullback, and his final ball delivery wasn't great. But second half, We didn't see that from Tierney. We didn't see it. In fact, we saw it more from Chambers in the second half.
I love the way he wanted the ball all the time. Every throw in, he wanted to take 100 mile an hour, and he was just getting so frustrated with the fact there was no movement every time he picked up the ball for a throw. And he's like, what's going on here? He looked like he was bemused by his teammates.
You've just got players checking back and looking for sideways and backwards passing, and it's a problem that we've got. It's a mental problem right now.
I think it got highlighted last night match today with Xhaka. I know.
With Ian Wright.
Yeah, and it was really good. And there's so many clips they showed. He didn't want the ball. It was easy for him to hide behind defenders. He didn't want the ball, and
it was weird to see.
It was. And let's get something right. He probably is a void. I know we're going to talk about Xhaka later on, but
he doesn't play like that for Switzerland.
No,
though.
he
It's
doesn't.
only when he's in an Arsenal shirt.
But I also think that he gets a lot of unfair stick. I think he's not. All right, he's not the best, but I think some of the stick he gets is very unfair. But I don't know if that's he's put in a firing line by the management, but also the other side of it in himself. I think he thinks he's a confident person. He can take things on the chin. And yesterday, I think it was a little bit of a just all spill out.
I think I'm not going to equate this or necessarily compare him to Ramsey, but if you remember when Ramsey was being played out of position on the right, in his mind, he was quite vocal. Every time he was interviewed, he said, well, actually, I'm a central midfield player. I'm doing a job for the manager, but I don't want to be here. To be fair to Xhaka, I don't think he's ever said that, because I think he must know that being the last line of defence in front of the back four is not his position. He knows he hasn't got the pace for it. So I think he has been thrown under the bus a little bit by Emery by continually selecting him. And not only selecting him, but going on in interviews about how Torreira's a box-to-box midfield player and he's going to be incisive around the edge of the box, and that's it. We used him in a different way last year, but this year... Every single Arsenal fan, bar none, wants Torreira to be sitting in front of the back four, and not Xhaka.
I would say that, but my only thing I would say, I think we got our wish on Thursday night with Torreira there, and Bellerin, and Tierney. Bellerin looks so unfit; it's unbelievable. And Holding looks so slow.
That's why they're not starting her. They are coming back off severe injuries.
I know that, but people now are saying, "Why is Bellerin not playing? Let's get Bellerin in." Right,
well, he has had a couple of 90 minutes, to be fair.
Yeah, I know. But the other day, he looked terrible. He looked very sluggish. I thought he looked tired. Torreira, as well, the other day, did not stop giving the ball away. Every time he got the ball, and slipping over and all. Couldn't stand on his feet.
Is it fair to say Torreira, since he kind of hit that January slump, hasn't looked like the player he was maybe in the first 4 months
I
of
agree with
last
that.
year?
I think he looked really tired towards the end of the season last year. And I know pre-season he had a niggly little groin injury that kept getting him, and then he'd go to Uruguay, come back. And
if you look at the previous season for Sampdoria, he only played about 25 league games.
He mentioned this. He said I go from playing in Serie A 25 games a year to the demanding physicality of the Premier League.
45, 50
he said I'm not used to it.
It's hard. It's hard.
He's only got a little legs.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's only a small guy, which physically that does. I mean, it's true. He's maybe. It's a shock to his body. He is maybe tired and stuff.
Yeah, but he's been... we're 18 months now, so you would have expected him to start to adapt to that. Having said that, though, I think he's the sort of player that he's... Well, certainly this season, he's not really been used, and he's not really been used rigorously. You need to build into your momentum. One of the things that you used to say, Dave, about Ramsey is, it takes him X number of games before we see the real Ramsey. Maybe that's the same with a lot of footballers. Yeah. Maybe it's the same with Torreira. Maybe we just need to start chucking him in there and saying, let's go for it.
Well, he's been playing the three mostly, and it's been Ceballos at home and Torreira away, hasn't it? These... Xhaka and Guendouzi are both always starting, and then he's
I hate them together. I hate it together too.
Doesn't work. Too similar. But
Dave,
again,
you don't agree.
I don't agree with that at all. I can't even see any similarities between Guendouzi and Xhaka.
No, I don't like them. I mean, not together.
No, but you said there's too many similarities. I don't see any similarities.
I didn't say similarities. I don't like them together.
No,
I don't like them playing
one
next
of
to
you
each other.
said too many similarities.
Well,
I think Guendouzi's a ball carrier. He always is on the front foot. He's always looking to carry the ball, whereas Xhaka will never look to carry the ball, and he always look to pass it. So they are different, but. Neither of them should be playing as the deepest player. It should be Torreira, or go out and sign a purpose-built one in January.
I think that is our main problem, which I've said. Everyone moans about our defence. I think our defence is always under so much pressure and under so much because we've not got. We've never replaced Patrick Vieira or Gilberto. That is the crux of it. Never.
Even Edu to a length would get in there and help out the players that would mop up around.
We've never replaced a general.
He didn't have his kit with him yesterday.
We've never replaced that general player who would grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, "Come on, this." And that's what Arsenal have lacked.
We had it. Flamini did it in 7-8.
He
No, he
was
did that
rubbish.
one season.
Rubbish.
That one season?
No,
But
I'm
left
not-
back.
Well, we should have won the league.
Left
No, we
back.
should have won the league in 07-08.
Flamini, I've never. When we re-signed him, I was furious. because
Yeah,
he
no, but
dropped
that was
us.
different.
I
That
know.
was 4 or 5 years on.
But,
Well,
but,
the-
but
Charlie,
the
the
players we've
problem is-
mentioned, Gilberto Vieira, I mean, Flamini, all right, done a job, but I'm talking about Arsenal Football Club, who are renowned for having
You
a
are talking
stellar.
about generational football.
Oh, I know.
No one's seen Vieira because he's a
And
once in a
Gilberto
lifetime.
captained
so.
Brazil to a
Yeah.
World Cup, you know.
Exactly.
Charlie, I know you're very positive about the manager, but if you're saying the biggest problem is the middle of the park, two of the players potentially are playing in their wrong position. Xhaka, we know he wants to be more advanced, and he's saying Torreira should be more advanced when we really think Torreira should be the one sitting as the last line in front of the back four. So
What my defence of Emery is, I think the tools he's got. I mean, he should have been we should have added a centre midfielder in the summer, and he doesn't sign the players. We know that he's a head coach. Okay, I'm not.
He's part of the committee that shortlists, though, surely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm
how
sure.
involved is he, though? Because we don't know this, because
We
this is
don't.
debated heavily.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
I don't think he's
I
involved.
don't think he's involved in transfer. I'm sure he gets spoke to and sort of run past him, but I doubt this Pepe deal. I doubt it's. I think that was more of a Royal thing with his mate, who was sort of the agent and sort of part of.
Because if
of
he's
line.
flying the flag for Dani Ceballos and Dani Ceballos is not starting every week, it just only makes me think that he wasn't really that keen on Dani. Because if he wanted to get this line over, this deal over the line, he's not starting every week. When Dave mentioned it earlier, he could be the one for this creativity that Arsenal are currently lacking.
He's got form there, hasn't he? Because he didn't actually start Torreira until about 8 or 9 games into the season,
No.
did he? So maybe that's the same thing. I mean, Torreira had a long summer with the Copa, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, exactly. Come back. Yeah.
They never-
yeah.
Pepe mentioned this with the African Cup of Nations. He said, people have been slating my form, but I only had 1 week of pre-season. They was expecting me to hit the ground running. It was never going to happen. I had 1 week to settle in.
I think you've got to understand with Pepe. Let's get something right. If social media was around, we had Bergkamp and Pires, they would never been the players there was. Put it that way, because the stick they'd have got is unbelievable. I remember Pires the whole first season. People were screaming over him.
I think also on a positive. Sorry, Charlie.
That's all right.
Pepe this last week,
He stepped up.
even against Sheffield United, he was our best player.
And he wants the ball
looks
as well.
busy. He wants the ball
Yeah.
all the time. The only thing is, I think he's got to start going on the outside a bit more, hasn't he? He's got to start
he's got to
taking
use
people
right
on.
foot. Yeah, I agree.
Well, starting of stick, we got carried away a little bit, but we are going to be talking about the captain, and it is coming next.
Giving your team the coverage they deserve. Love Sport Radio.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage.
Tenna men. Pants and pads.
You're
Discreet.
leak.
Masculine.
You're in.
Secure absorption zone. Buy online or in shops.
You're in.
Tenna men. Keep control.
You're in.
No.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Brexit will bring changes that affect businesses in many ways, particularly if you buy from EU suppliers, sell to EU customers, provide services to EU clients, and receive customer data from other businesses in the EU. Businesses need to prepare. Find out how at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
Making small changes to your lifestyle could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. Start now by taking our free How Are You quiz. Just search 1U.
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I can keep up with my kids now.
I feel like I've got my life back.
It's an amazing feeling when you stop smoking. Experience it for yourself with help from Smoke Free. Our range of free support can help you quit for good. From our app to emails, face-to-face and online communities. Search Smoke Free, because there's only one you.
When your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics. Get advice from your local pharmacy or search NHS Choices.
As a busy mum, you're juggling loads of things.
And when your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics to help them get better. For things like sore throats, coughs and colds, you can get advice from your local pharmacy. And you don't need an appointment. To find your nearest pharmacy, search NHS Choices.
This is Love Sport.
Are you throwing away your hard-earned money on expensive energy bills? Keep the price down when you turn the heating up. You could be saving hundreds by switching to a cheaper deal. A spokesman said.com compares all the best deals on the market to find you the one that saves the most cash. Find the cheapest energy tariffs for you. Go to spokesmansaid.com and start saving today.
With spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
You are listening to the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. You joined in the studio with Chris Howard, Charlie Easton, Dave Seeger. Well, we was just getting into it there, talking about everything from the match. We're still yet to cover VAR and the captain, but don't worry, it is coming, of course, and there is still time to give us your views. So tweet us at Love Sport Radio or call us 0208 70 20 558. Let's start then, before we talk about the captain. Let's start about VAR, because obviously it was a huge incident at the end of the game. Obviously, Socrates getting the match winner. For me, the goal should have stood. I can't see it. I've watched it many, many times. How do we all feel, Charlie? I'll start with you. I know you're not best pleased with VAR.
No, it's the worst decision I've seen of VAR this season. And I just think it's become, as the match-going fan...
And that's purely unbiased. You're just...
I'm just saying. I do think I'm quite on the fence with things very, but that yesterday was a disgrace. And as a match-going fan, I'm sure you all agree. I mean, the first half yesterday, did you notice they had the speaker of what the referee was hearing?
Yeah,
was coming over the speaker.
Yeah, that's what bemused me, because there was two VARs where you knew exactly what was happening. Oh, it's been checked. Decision. You knew that one.
That was a mistake. They're the Australian voice of the guy. And just we're talking, there's a poll come on screen. Is VAR working? 79% saying no. And I totally agree. I think that as a match-going fan in the crowd, and they have the VAR check and they stop, and you just have that thing come up on the screen, checking VAR. You're there for like a minute 20, I think it was. It's just, it's killing football.
Can I tell you something? And this is where it gets depressing.
You can.
So when Socrates scored that goal, people were celebrating. I got up like that, fist pumping, and I stopped. And the reason I stopped is because there was 5 or 6 Palace players that ran straight to the referee saying, have a look at that, moaning at the referee. And your first instance is, well, he's going to overturn it then. Because I am just baffled at what is happening and what has happened for the first few months. And we're not just talking about Arsenal here. Arsenal have had the rough side of it, because last week, in the Sheffield United game, that was a penalty for Socrates. Before the international break, Pepe fouled inside the box. That's a penalty. But we're looking at Brighton this weekend, who got a ridiculous penalty. You've got Daniel James going down under a shoulder-to-shoulder. Another ridiculous penalty.
We had a blatant handball by Socrates as well that wasn't given against us. Against Watford, wasn't it?
Villa.
Yeah. Should have been 3-3.
It's utterly farcical, and it is happening again with more volume than it's almost like it's increasing. And this weekend, it feels like a lot of people have made a lot of noise around the referees aren't really giving, nothing's overturning VAR. So it's almost as if they've decided to go completely the other direction and say, right, well, let's just give everything now, even if it's the slightest touch, because that Chambers decision yesterday, no one I've seen says it's working.
The bit that we want to see, I think, because it's not going to go away, we can't get rid of it. The bit that we want to see is what we saw in the World Cup, where the referee's going over
and looking at
one of them looking at the VAR. Okay, you're saying VAR saying I'm wrong. Let me go and check.
Yes,
it's my final say. They're not doing that, and I thought they'd been encouraged in the last few weeks to start doing that, but they're not doing it. And like Martin Atkinson is a he might be a fool, but he's a very experienced fool, so he should know that he's got the right to do it.
Did you notice him yesterday? He was getting very animated, like all the Arsenal players were moaning, and he was getting waving his arms about. He was
let's
getting
not
annoyed.
forget, Martin Atkinson wanted to book Zaha for diving, and then he obviously got told, and that one got overturned. But I agree with you, Dave. Why aren't they going and checking? Because the match of the day, they kept showing it. The screen was at the side of the pitch. They can go and see.
That's why it worked in the World Cup, I think, to a degree, more than it did.
So why don't
it was the Women's World Cup.
So why
and the Men's World Cup.
Why isn't there a protocol developed, which is decision is made, somebody informs the referee and says, right, you need to at least have a look at this. So step 2, referee goes over and has a look. Step 3, referee's not sure. I tell you what, I'm going to get a third opinion from somebody in Stockley Park. Can you? And that's when you get the intervention. So you get a referee's two opinions. Then he can make that decision, because then the judgment's on him.
I don't need VAR. Yeah.
Exactly, because then it's okay. I've had a look at a TV screen. I've made that decision. Fine, you move on with it.
And it should be the fourth official in the ground who's telling the referee, I think you might want to have another look at that.
Exactly.
Someone who's in the ground.
Hang on, we've solved it just in here, in the Love Sport Towers.
Bish,
we've
bash,
solved
bosh,
it.
mate.
Sherlock and Holmes once again. We
The
are
only other thing I'd say with the VAR as well, I think you just need to see it happen in real time, to say it slow down, they're completely different things as well. Do you know what I mean, if you break something down and watch a replay 3 or 4 times, VAR should be if a decision is black or white, so to speak. I mean,
Clear and obvious areas.
Yeah. So you could watch something and we'll go, no, it's not a penalty. I could watch that and say, yes, it is a penalty. How can that be based on?
There's too much grey area.
Exactly.
VAR,
It's
yeah.
too. I mean, you look at when they put the roll in with the line over the line. Perfect. You can't get it wrong. It's either black or white.
And
That's what it is.
offsides as well.
Offside
to an
should be
extent.
like that. Yes, if you
is-
get the
is a little
offside
bit
rule
simpler.
right, because people don't know if it's under the armpit or if it's clear and obvious at the start of the season what an offside rule is. I'll do it probably maybe with the foot.
They'll definitely change that next summer. They've got to.
Yeah, they have to. But no. It's not going away, though, as you said.
It's not going away. Obviously, a big talking point. Not the biggest talking point from the game, I think, because obviously there was a huge incident when the captain, Granit Xhaka, was substituted. Obviously, a few sarcastic cheers. He was walking very slowly, might I add, off the pitch, which I think ended up antagonising, riling up a few more Arsenal fans, which added to it. Then obviously just a few, Dave. Thank you. Then obviously that led to him cupping his ear, goading the fans into more, all the, like gladiatorial in a coliseum, goading the fans, and then obviously some expletives as he walked off, chucked the armband down, not through it, but he didn't pass it over to Aubameyang, and then he took off the shirt. So much to get into, Dave. I want to start with you because, again, once again, the fans are split. We shouldn't be treating Xhaka like that, but him as the leader, as the captain of the club, shouldn't be doing that. So much disrespect. Where do you stand on it?
Well,
all?
it's not. I mean, there's been loads of good articles written today, to be fair, but it's not clear and obvious.
VAR.
It is.
Do you want to go to step 2, Dave?
Well, no, there are lots of factors here, and I can't condone what Xhaka did, and I never will, and I'm appalled that a captain of Arsenal would do that. But I keep coming back. I do think it's been building up and building up and building up, and a manager and a coach have to take some of the blame. Having said that, he's captain of Arsenal Football Club. You can't do that. The cheering was as much for the fact we were making an attacking change and we were chasing. We wanted to win the game. So the fans were cheering the substitution. They were cheering Saka coming on as much as they were cheering. He's made that about him. So then he starts walking slowly, and the fans, Charlie, you can see him on Match of the Day. We're all going, just hurry up, get off. We want to win this game. He's taken that as something all about him. So he will regret that when people will be saying, actually, mate, it wasn't all about you. There's been a build-up and he's had problems on social media, so he may be excused for thinking that. All that taken aside, he is captain of Arsenal Football Club. You cannot behave like that as a captain of Arsenal Football Club. It made me question going back to Arsenal next Saturday. I was that upset yesterday after the game.
Just
really
the
was.
scenes from Granit, just the fans, everything, Dave.
Xhaka, the reaction, the fact that what he did led to the fan reaction. It came together, and no one comes out of it covered in glory.
No, I think
not the player, not the fans.
So if you ask me, if a collective of people would goad me in the same way that he felt that he was being goaded, would I react the same way? Probably. If you then put that into the context of a football match, he's not a young footballer either. He's 26, 27, 28 years old. He's been a professional footballer.
He's been captain of a club and country for years.
He will have played in hostile environments where he gets abuse. So he's not. This isn't new to him. So to behave like that, to respond like that, you expect better. You expect him, his professionalism, to be saying, look. He might think these Arsenal fans are idiots. Why are they booing me? But you just keep it stum. You get yourself off the pitch as quickly as possible. You get your tracksuit on. You sit down. You can fold your arms. You can look as sulky as possible. But you don't demonstrate the way that he did.
No,
that's not acceptable.
I think when the season started, Laurent Koscielny was Arsenal's captain, and there was a bit of a hoo-ha. It looked like he was going to go, and it looks like he couldn't officially announce the captain until he was gone, so to speak, but we were going to have a new captain. I know for a fact Granit Xhaka desperately wanted that captaincy. He made it publicly to players. He made a bit of an effort pre-season that he wanted to be captain. He loves it at Arsenal Football Club. Loves the club, loves part of it. Invariably loves the fans. He loves everything about Arsenal. He loves the Premier League. He wanted to be captain.
He's made a point of getting to know about the club, the traditions, the history.
He has done. And I think what I've heard of him around the training ground, he is the leader in that dressing room. The players like him. That picture of Torreira today, the players have got so much respect for Xhaka.
Torreira looked like he was nearly in tears.
The players
He was, because he knew he should have been playing in that position.
The players love Granit Xhaka. They really like Granit Xhaka. And anyway, he was captain. He's gone. I think, Sam, again, the overreaction of him being captain has been a bit of a.
Yeah, but Emery dragged it out so long.
I understand that, but,
he's a
if
product
he
of
is
this.
the only player who is actively making a stand, I want to be captain.
I think Hector did today.
Yeah, no, before that, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I'm generally saying, people moan about Granit Xhaka being captain. Generally, think of it, go back to start of the season and the options who are available to be captain.
I was certainly holding Bellerin, but they weren't available. They both come out with statements. Yeah.
How can Rob Holding be captain, Stu?
No, he said. No, but you were asking who else. But I'm saying there are.
Yeah.
Bellerin has never made a secret. I don't think.
No, I don't.
But he
think.
wasn't fit.
He wasn't fit. I agree with that. People say with David Lewis, we didn't sign until last day transfer window.
No.
Socrates maybe, but
No.
But realistically, people say Aubameyang. I see people Aubameyang like no. I hate strikers as captains. Okay, so what? I don't know who else there is.
I think most people would probably have just begrudgingly accepted it if it had just happened. You know, Laurent Koscielny's gone, our new captain is Granit Xhaka, done, we move on. But it was dragged out, and this 5 captains thing was dragged out, and it was just, you don't need to do it.
But it also,
the decision was made, and I'm sure I've read some stuff which is saying that I think Xhaka's even a little bit frustrated with Emery, I can totally understand that. I think
Amy Lawrence wrote that on the Athletic today. But I also think, sorry, Charlie, but I also think it's all very well he's the only obvious candidate, but if the only obvious candidate most fans don't think should be in the starting 11, there's your problem.
I understand that, but then the obvious players who should be in the starting lineup, who would you have then?
Well, you could have easily made Hector Bellerin captain and Xhaka vice captain until Bellerin was fit, easily.
I don't know. Hector Bellerin hasn't played since January.
But he's longest serving player at the club, virtually, isn't he?
I think, he is. I think Mesut Ozil's up there now, isn't he, to be fair? But I wouldn't have him as the captain. No chance.
Well, he's not getting in a matchday squad, but he might have maybe the captain sooner rather than later. We're talking about the captain, and obviously we're going to have to be talking a little bit more about the manager next.
This is Love Sport.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. This means that travelling to the EU will change. You'll need to check online if your passport is valid for travel to Europe. If you're planning on driving, you'll need to check if you have the right documents to drive, and make sure your travel insurance covers all your healthcare needs. To keep your trip on track, check what you need to do at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
As a parent, you always want to protect your kids, so make sure their vaccinations are up to date. Measles and whooping cough are on the rise and can cause severe illness, but childhood vaccinations can help prevent them. Are your child's up to date? Find out more. Search online for NHS vaccinations.
Making small changes to your lifestyle could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. Start now by taking our free How Are You quiz. Just search 1U.
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I can keep up with my kids now.
I feel like I've got my life back.
It's an amazing feeling when you stop smoking. Experience it for yourself with help from Smoke Free. Our range of free support can help you quit for good. From our app to emails, face-to-face and online communities. Search Smoke Free, because there's only one you.
When your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics. Get advice from your local pharmacy or search NHS Choices.
You probably think you're pretty good at multitasking behind the wheel. I mean, you have to multitask to drive. So what's wrong with checking your phone? The thing is, your brain simply doesn't work. Even a quick look at the message, or firing off a quick reply, affects your concentration and makes you less able to react to hazards. If you use a mobile phone while driving, you're 4 times more likely to crash. Think. Put your phone away.
Love Sport.
You're listening to the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined in the studio with Gunners Tan, Dave Seeger, Charlie East and Chris Howard. We were talking, obviously, about current club captain Granit Xhaka, but how long will that be the case? The discussion carried on just for a moment because we're not quite sure how Emery will react to that one. Let's talk of the manager now because, obviously, while these results have been going on, while incidents with Granit Xhaka have been going on, the calls maybe for the manager have been growing. The concern there has been creeping in just that little bit more, and there seems now there is more of a divide with fans. I'm seeing banners at the stadium and, you know, they're starting to grow. Interviews outside of the stadium, we all know about that. And obviously on social media, as it spreads like wildfire and it is toxic, there are some more calls for the manager to go. It seems to be the divide. Where do we all stand on it? I know, Charlie, you're quite vocal of your support for the manager.
You're just quite vocal.
Yeah, my vocal is not support of Emery.
There's no shame in it. You should be.
No,
It's the current Arsenal
but
manager,
what I'm saying is, my support is you bring a man in 16 months ago, and first year was virtually a freebie. We agree? Everyone agreed? First year's freebie, taking over Wenger. It's a hard job to pick up.
I don't
Yeah,
know
but
if
you
I
still,
fully agree with that.
when you're in pole position to finish top 3, not even top 4, top 3, and you throw it away.
Yeah, okay, but
And then
that's
that
not
cup
a freebie.
final.
That
That
wasn't a
cup
freebie.
Yeah,
final.
but I'm
That
saying
was strike one.
we put ourselves in a position that people didn't really expect us.
But we were there, Charlie.
No, but I'm saying, but for the start of the season, expectations. Okay, our target this year is top 4. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're 4 points off second, are we? Or 5 points off second?
After 10 games.
After 10 games. At the moment, we are still in with a shout to reach his man's target. I'm not saying I want Emery to stay forever. I'm saying the guy has been given an opportunity. It's his job to get us top 4. That's the opportunity to get top 4. And we're not at the mix of it where we're right out of the way of it. We're not. To the fact of where we make it.
Okay, let me respond to that. then. If we accept all that to be the case, and you are right, you can't deny it. If we are not close to top 4 by the middle of December, with 2 weeks till the transfer window, what do you say then? Say we're 10 points off top 4, and we're still playing as badly as we're playing now.
That's saying we could be top of the league. Who knows? That's
but
I'm saying at the moment.
Yeah, no, so I'm asking you what happens if we carry on playing like we're playing now.
I may reevaluate my situation and my maybe thoughts.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying at the moment, all this toxic behaviour. We see what happened last year. Wenger's thing. These idiots on YouTube channels, and I'm saying they're idiots. And they are.
I would not disagree.
And you're hearing these people, they're getting all these sort of following about them. Social media is ruining football in a way because you're getting these people who are idiots getting a voice. People probably listening now thinking I'm an idiot and I've got a voice. But that's fair enough. But it's like a popularity thing with them sort of people. And they're getting these agendas going to create. I mean, that channel, I've seen it all over my timeline again today, which I've not seen it for ages. Now we lose a game, there's a bit of thing. It's everywhere again. And
that's because they feed on.
They feed off of negativity.
Okay,
and people are just suckers. Yeah, people are fueling that now. This Emery stuff, and it's just becoming a toxic atmosphere again because of that.
But it's not just people that like that who want Emery, because I know Chris and Dave, you're not saying you want him out at all, but you're not as sold on him as Charlie is, or in defence on him as yet. So it's not just that minority. Dave, you've maybe got a slightly different opinion than Charlie has on the manager.
Chris and I were talking off air. As I've said on loads of occasions on this show, on the fans forum on Sunday, I would have thought, regardless of who he's been allowed to sign and whether he's signed them and where we're supposed to be at the end of the season, what I'm frustrated by is I have no flipping idea what Arsenal's style is under Emery.
No identity.
I've no idea what his plans are. I've no idea what his strategy is. I've no idea what his structure is from 1 week to the next. Now, caveat, we wanted Wenger to set up differently away from home against big sides. This guy's setting up defensively away from home against lower sides. He's gone too far the other way from me. He's too cautious and he's just not letting the players play. It looks like to me like Mourinho mid last season Man United. That's what it looks like. Chris?
So I think from my perspective, I look at last season and I think the end of last season was disappointing. I think if you talk about strikes, like strike one for me was that cup final for Emery, and it was the way that it was set up. But actually, we went into the summer and we got some very, very good deals over the line. It was
exciting. Yeah.
Are we therefore... I'm then looking at the team thinking, on paper, with this squad, is it a better squad than last year? Yes. Okay, so do we have a better defence? Or are we performing better as a defence than we did last year or the year before that? No. Are we performing better?
Give him a bit of a breathing space on having his defenders back.
Let me just finish. Are we better in midfield than we were last season or the season before? No. Are we better going forward? Well, I can categorically tell you no, and having seen that on Sunday, we are a million times worse in the final third in terms of our creativity. So there's 3 areas. Also data points as well. I'm looking at the Newcastle game, which we won, but we were poor. I'm looking at the Watford game, which we drew, but we were poor. I'm looking at the Sheffield United game, we lost and we were poor. I'm looking at the Bournemouth game, we won, but we were poor. I'm looking at the Palace game, we drew and we were poor. I'm looking at the Villa game, we won. That was That was an extraordinary circumstance, but we were
Go
poor.
back to that Watford game at the end of last season that we won. It's been going since
I can look at I can see the Vittoria game. We won. We were poor. We played Frankfurt away. We were poor for parts of it. We did a bit of a smash and grab.
But we're great against Forest.
You can this is the next thing. You can count the decent performances on one hand, and we're up to about 15 games by now. That is not acceptable, and I think that's one of the reasons why I've turned. I was quite happy. I think you and I 2 weeks ago, Charlie, were probably in the same boat. 2-3 weeks ago, I was. Do you know what? We're getting the results, but it's all a bit stuttery. We've had a few injuries. Let's see how we go when we get to November. Well, we're getting to November now, and it's got worse.
I think I was waiting, and I'm sure Charlie was going. I wrote on Sunday morning before the game. I hadn't written for ages that I thought that was D-Day. I thought this was the day when he was going to be judged, because I accept what you're saying, Charlie, about you don't think Hector was fully fit, but he is now at the point, very close to the point where he's got a fully fit squad, barring Mavropanos or but he's got a fully fit squad. So I was always of the mind that I would judge him when he had. If he's not going to have the creative midfield and he's going to look at the Liverpool model, I'll judge him when he's got his two flying fullbacks. And I'm still in that camp, but that has to happen very quickly.
Yeah, I agree
when
with
those
that.
two players are in, if we're still boring and stilted and juttery, then I'm out.
That's a lot of reliance on fullbacks, though, isn't it? When you think we talked about how
in
poor
modern
the midfield
football,
is.
Yeah, but Liverpool have a very average midfield. They don't have creativity in midfield. The second and third most assists in the Premier League last year were their two fullbacks after Hazard. Liverpool's two fullbacks. I just thought that was the model he was looking at. That was all I could think of that was life-saving grace.
And that's what I did think. It was a bit unfair judges' defence at the moment because that is that reason. I think you've had people say Holding. I think Socrates and Louise are probably my starting back 4 and 2 in the middle at the minute. I think.
Really?
I personally think, yeah.
What, when everyone's fit?
I personally, and I've said this before, I don't think Rob Holding's the great saviour that everyone thinks he is.
What about Mustafi?
I just think he's better than Socrates.
Charlie, what about Mustafi?
He's been playing well in Europe.
Yeah.
More clean sheets than Van Dijk.
He was rubbish again the other day on Thursday night, I can assure you, doing his cross ball straight to centre midfield.
What is it you're not sold on Rob Holding? I'm sure you've answered this, Charlie, but his pace.
His pace worries.
Yeah, but playing alongside Louise, you can't have two slow centre backs, but Louise is quick.
Because Socrates, I think, is quite deceiving. He's a bit quicker than people think as well. He does.
Oh, yeah, he is.
I think Socrates is. I don't think he's that bad. I think
he's just rash.
Yeah, he is rash. I think last season he was up. He always plays a right of a two, and he'd always have Maitland-Niles next to him. He's not a right back. So I think he got exposed a little bit with Maitland-Niles.
And now he's got Callum Chambers, who's not a right back.
He's not a right back. So I mean, I would happily. I think Callum Chambers in front of the back four could work.
Or David Luiz.
Or David Luiz.
When we've got Holding and.
Do you think Chambers deserves a shot at being that holding midfielder? Because he was the player of the year for Middlesbrough and Fulham, albeit Middlesbrough and Fulham, but he was playing in that position.
He played centre back at Fulham.
He played
alongside Gibson. He played all season alongside Gibson.
Not centre right. He played a lot.
of Fulham. Yeah, Borough he did. Yeah, Fulham he was defensive midfield player, but you said Fulham and Borough.
No, yeah, Borough he did play a couple of games, but Fulham he played the centre
midfielder.
Yeah, and he can do it.
And let's get this out right. We've all just said here.
Yeah.
We haven't got a centre. Xhaka's not a CDM.
No.
Torreira, obviously, at the moment, he's former. He cannot do no worse. Stick him in there, give him a go. I would happily see. Chambers, to be fair, this season has been one of the shining brights. My only concern with him as a right back is two reasons. His pace. Yesterday's thing against Zaha was, you could just see it coming because he does get a little bit flat-footed, square on, sticks his foot out, and he can't cross, which...
Barring that one against Forest when he volleyed it across.
Yeah, no, but I mean, invariably a lot of his crosses are. He's not a fullback, is he? I mean, we see him when he played right back in Swansea all them years ago. Probably the worst right back performance in years when he got.
I mean, I like Callum Chambers.
I like him,
but if I was going to do that, David Luiz has played defensive midfield for Brazil. I mean, and for Chelsea, it's a slightly higher level.
Dave, he's our best centre back, though.
Yeah, but if Holding was fit. You could have Socrates and Holding, or Socrates and Chambers with David Luiz.
Isn't this the problem the manager has? Because we always say of the manager, he doesn't know his best 11, and we're sitting here arguing it amongst ourselves.
I think it's only a matter of time till he goes to 3 at the back. If he doesn't carry on working, he'll go back to what he tried at the end of last season with slightly different players. Because David Luiz is born for that formation.
And
we didn't have him last year.
Tierney and Bellerin, that suits them.
And then you don't have to worry. Yeah, you don't have to worry so much about the defensive midfield play, then, do you?
No,
you can just have two good. You could have Torreira and Ceballos or Guendouzi and Ceballos.
And I think that could work.
But then there's no place for one of Pepe, Lacazette, or Aubameyang.
But that's fine, because if one of it happens one of them, you're stuffed anyway.
Although if you play
rotate
3 up,
them.
I suppose you could probably play Guendouzi and Torreira with Ceballos.
Yeah, and I think that
just
I think
behind
that would
two
work.
strikers.
I think that would work, and I think that wouldn't be a surprise. He wants that to happen when he's got them 2 back.
Well, Dave is saying that Arsenal could go back to 3 at the back. What do you think? The game against Liverpool and Wolves on the weekend, we're going to be discussing those, and you can still get involved. Tweet us at Love Sport Radio or call us on 0208 70 20 558.
Giving your team a voice. Love Sport Radio. Follow at Love Sport Radio on Twitter for all the latest news, views, competitions, and the best bits from your favourite station. Love Sport, the station giving fans a voice.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Brexit will bring changes that affect businesses in many ways, particularly if you buy from EU suppliers, sell to EU customers, provide services to EU clients, and receive customer data from other businesses in the EU. Businesses need to prepare. Find out how at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
Full of skill, full of flair, full of desire. Fulham FC is full of fire. Oh, what a goal! Be there at Craven Cottage as Fulham continue their surge towards the top of the Sky Bet Championship. Watch the unmissable action live in SW6, home of London's original football club. Absolutely brilliant. Grab your tickets now at fulhamfc.com.
As a busy mum, you're juggling loads of things. And when your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics to help them get better. For things like sore throats, coughs and colds, you can get advice from your local pharmacy. And you don't need an appointment. To find your nearest pharmacy, search NHS Choices.
Making small changes to your lifestyle could improve your chances of staying healthier longer. Start now by taking our free How Are You quiz. Just search 1U.
Before you set off on a long journey, remember to check your vehicle. Are your tyres correctly inflated? And are the treads deep enough? Have you got enough fuel? Is your oil level right? Checking your vehicle doesn't take long, but can prevent a breakdown or accident and save you money. So, before you set off on a long journey, check your tyres, fuel and oil. Highways England, connecting the country.
This is Love Sport.
You're listening to the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport Radio with me, Charlie Hawkins. I'm joined in the studio with Gunners Tan, Chris Howard, Charlie East and Dave Seagon. What a show it has been. We're talking about the result with Palace on the weekend, looking at the VAR incidents and obviously Granit Xhaka and the manager. But what formation will the manager play? Because there are 2 games in quick succession now. The Carabao Cup on Wednesday and it is away to Liverpool. It is a huge clash. Obviously take a younger side before the bigger game on the weekend against Wolves. That game is massive. Let's start with Liverpool though, Dave. What side do you think the manager will take up there?
I don't think it'll be quite as young as previous rounds. I think he'll have a good blend of experience and youth. But as we saw in the last round, Liverpool did play quite a weak side, and their second string probably isn't necessarily as strong as ours, but they will have home advantage. It depends how many Liverpool fans are going to come out for that game.
And Klopp's been whinging lately about the amount
He's
of
always
games. I really dislike the geezer.
Yeah.
He's really he's been moaning about how many games they're playing and everyone's tired. I think they might.
They get treated so unfairly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but his changed midfield is Milner, Cater and Ox. It's hardly that weak.
No,
it's the other
exactly.
positions they're
It's
weaker.
the other positions. But I think I'm looking at our side this week. You'd expect Bellerin to play. Martinez.
Is Nelson fit?
No, he's still out. So you expect
Martinelli.
Bellerin to play.
Martinelli's as impressed the last 2 weeks.
He excites you, doesn't he?
Unbelievable.
Smith Rowe was really good Thursday night.
Yeah.
I want to see him back in there.
I like Smith Rowe.
I think the back 4 picks himself. You've got Kolasinac.
Does it change though, Charlie, with this result on the weekend? And maybe would this change the manager's plans at all?
I think this is a little bit of a free hit for him. Did Xhaka get booked yesterday?
No, sadly he didn't.
He was on a yellow card suspension if he get one more.
No, we're all well aware of that one, Charlie.
Right. So
I've been watching it for the last 3 games, waiting for it.
But I think the back 4 picks himself. With obviously Holding getting a game again. You want Bellerin playing. You want to get him minutes.
He can rest Tierney now. So yeah, for the big one.
Centre midfield, you probably see Willock playing. Sack. Probably be
Maitland-Niles.
He had a poor game against Victoria.
Bad,
I think Torreira will start. I think Lacazette will play.
Yeah, he looks a bit off
Lacazette
yesterday.
hasn't had a good 90 minutes yet since he's
he
been
looks
fit.
a bit off yesterday.
I think Lacazette will probably play against Liverpool.
With Martinelli
and Saka. Yeah.
What about Smith Rowe?
Well, he can play just behind, can't he, in the Ceballos role if he's going to play. You know, he can play in the
Yeah.
central midfield. Just if he has like a Willock and Torreira, he could have Smith Rowe
I
just
think
ahead.
it's a bit of a free game for us. I think we go up there. No one's giving us a sniff.
Or, as you say, you can go 4-4-2 again and play Martinelli and Lacazette. That'd be quite exciting.
But
Go on, Chaz.
more importantly, Saturday. We have to have 3 points Saturday. That is vital.
And a
Do you know-
performance.
Do you know what I'd be
I don't care
fascinated
about a
to
performance. I
see?
just want to win. 3 points is all we need.
I'd be fascinated to see whether he just throws Xhaka straight back in. And if he does, do you know what? I just wonder whether the crowd might actually respond. I'd
Oh, they
hope
will. They definitely
respond
would.
positively.
They would. They'd back Xhaka.
Positively.
If he
yeah.
plays, they would back him.
I think there'd be an admission, probably from the crowd, that perhaps it
I
went
agree.
a little bit
Certainly,
too far.
he will have to make a statement before the weekend,
Yes.
which he will. The club will make him.
Repair some of the damage.
Yeah, if he makes a, sorry, I overreacted statement, then the fans will get behind him.
I think with the Jack situation,
Without the armband.
Without the I think without the armband, I think I've always been quite a defender of Xhaka, but as an Arsenal club captain, we said about it's disgraceful. We can't come in and do that. But I think he should have said that by now. He should have done
Yeah,
it.
but I
Which
said to
makes
you
me
earlier, you
worried.
said they've all been off today, so maybe
They've
he
all
hasn't
been
been
off
in there
today.
around the
Because
club.
I don't
Apparently-
care. They can't wait for that. I think.
And also, apparently, all the players went round to Granit Xhaka's house last
See,
night and were
yeah.
consoling him,
Yeah.
and he invited
3
them
senior
round.
players, not been named though.
He left the
I
ground.
wonder if he
early.
Staffy, Ozil, and Kolasinac it was.
I wonder if he,
Dave,
I wonder if
you're
he
onto
cooked him
something
dinner.
here. We've got a new partner in this, Chris.
Yeah,
We've got
I
a new
wonder if he
wingman.
cooked him dinner. If he's like, well, seeing as you're here, lads, should we go?
Are you all
understand-
certain that you think come Sunday Granit Xhaka is not
No,
captain?
I
Because
agree.
I believe he still will be captain.
I don't think he will.
Chris?
Emery,
I'm not sure.
I think he'll be captain. I think
I
this is
think-
how Unai will take this on. He will repair the damage, and Granit will be captain on the
I
weekend.
think he will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
do
he
I.
will.
I don't think
The
he
way
will.
Emery
Two
came
all.
out yesterday and said, where he came out and said
Sounds
yesterday,
familiar.
he was wrong. I think that was his.
He also said we need a calm reaction about this. Now's not the time
I
for
think
going
he dealt
overboard.
with the question yesterday superbly. I think he sort of, when they asked him the questions, it could have been very easily. I thought he said he was wrong straight away, and we'll do it in house. That's all you want to do. You want to, and I think hopefully something will come out soon about it. They need something.
I mean, you look at the situation here. We've got a senior player who, whether he's captain or not, whether people like him or not, you can't just pull him out and say, well, he's not playing for Arsenal. Yeah, that's ludicrous.
No,
so
someone's got to write the captain's notes.
You need to exactly. So there needs to be some sort of solution found, and it needs to be a repairing the bridge between the players or the player and the fans.
Well, just very quickly, you put out a tweet on Gunners Town Radio. Would anyone be happy to see Emery dismissed if it meant Lundberg installed as caretaker now? Stick or twist? Over 450 votes and a whopping yes, 87% would want.
I only put that.
Lundberg
I only
installed.
put that in because in the conversations, not the toxic ones, not the idiots on the, but people who are having a what if scenario. Obviously, I think most Arsenal fans, a lot are saying, well, we know Allegri wanted to come before, we know he's available, so that would be probably, I would guess, most people's first choice
It'd be my first choice.
as a replacement.
Well, did he want to come before?
Well,
Because
I
there's
thi-
conflicting reports of that, Dave. He's saying that Arsenal were never going to back him and give him the money.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he was going to come until he realised there was no money to
I
spend.
think-
So
yeah.
I think there's money to spend now, as we've seen the last two windows. So that's a possibility, and he is available. But I don't think Arsenal would do that. But I just would be interested because a lot of
It's
people,
not
were
Arsenal
saying
style.
last night, Lundberg.
They won't make no
give it-
mid-season change.
A lot of people. I know it's heart and it's traditions and it's Arsenal, but a lot of people wouldn't mind it if we were going to pull the trigger at some point and we're not going to make a decision on a long-term replacement. I don't think many Arsenal fans
we
would have a
wanna-
problem with Lundberg because he's got that relationship with the players, the young players.
Do we want to become the Chelsea, pulling the trigger on managers
I think-
mid-season?
I think-
We don't want to turn into that.
I think things have to get a
don't-
lot
They've
worse.
been winning silverware successively for so
Yeah,
long.
we're different football clubs.
Different-
We don't.
yeah, but football's different now.
But they support money more than us.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah, it's very true. I agree with Charlie there.
If Freddie Ljungberg becomes manager of Arsenal, things have gone terribly wrong this
I totally
season,
agree.
and we're at,
I do.
That's when you've written off the league anyway, and
Freddie
it's
Ljungberg is.
let's just see this.
Let's say it right. No, I love Freddie Ljungberg because of what he's done. If Arsenal got rid of Unai Emery and made Freddie Ljungberg, I'd be very, very, very upset. I'd want a manager in. I don't want someone just to be stopgap like that. He's never managed a game of football in his life at the competitive level. So, there's no way Unai Emery's going for end of the season anyway. Much of people, it's not happening. And Chris, I've already had a bet with someone on this.
Yeah,
it's not happening. So people can moan. And I've said to the end of the season, I'm not saying beyond. If Allegri was available in the summer, I'd take him now.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Most Arsenal fans came to terms, including you, with Mikel Arteta being our manager 2 summers ago, when he'd never managed a competitive side. I mean,
because that become, as you said, come to terms with it. You think, oh, it's going to happen.
Well, no, but a lot of people were quite for it because they saw what the effect he'd had on the players like Sterling and De Bruyne, and how much he'd improved them. He's a coach.
I wanted Emery over Arteta.
Yeah, me too.
I did, just because European pedigree, what he's won, the players he's managed. I wanted him. I was happier that we got it.
Yeah,
when it looked like we was going to get Arteta, at first I was quite disappointed. But you have to learn to accept things. So I started thinking of the positives. I didn't really want Wilfried Zaha to start the season.
Instead of
then
Zaha
I got to the
Pepe,
point.
yeah.
I thought to myself, we were going to get Zaha.
I totally agree with everything everyone's saying. I don't want Arsenal to become a hiring and firing club, but equally, I don't want to pay my money to watch this absolutely unadulterated rubbish every week. And that's just what I'm doing at the moment.
As you said as well about Arsenal as a club, history and tradition, we say this class is permanent stuff and all that. That's long gone.
We're not being very classy.
No, we're not. That's long gone.
Club or fans.
Well, let's not end it on that note. Let's end it on a positive one, because it is Liverpool on Wednesday, then Wolves on the weekend. Do Arsenal bounce back in style? Do they get a result? Maybe not necessarily in the Carabao Cup, but do they get a result on the weekend against Wolves, Chris?
No.
Yes.
1-1.
1-0, Dave.
3-1.
1-0 last year, wasn't it? I took my daughter. Bethan's never been to football with me ever until the Wolves game last season. It was 1-0. We were lucky then, and she's coming this weekend. So 1-0 sounds like an omen.
And my wife's a bad omen.
Yeah. No, I think we'll beat Wolves 2-1.
So do I. Come on, the Arsenal. Every Monday, 7 to 8.
But will we beat Liverpool?
Good message. I'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday night.
It's all a talking point. As it, we'll cover it on
2 goals for the Ox.
We'll see you next week.
Love sport.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. This means that travelling to the EU will change. You'll need to check online if your passport is valid for travel to Europe. If you're planning on driving, you'll need to check if you have the right documents to drive. And make sure your travel insurance covers all your healthcare needs. To keep your trip on track, check what you need to do at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
As a parent, you always want to protect your kids, so make sure their vaccinations are up to date. Measles and whooping cough are on the rise and can cause severe illness, but childhood vaccinations can help prevent them. Are your child's up to date? Find out more. Search online for NHS vaccinations.
When your kids are ill, you just want to help them feel better. But you don't always need antibiotics. Get advice from your local pharmacy or search NHS Choices.
Brilliant, I've finally quit.
I can keep up with my kids now.
I feel like I've got my life back.
It's an amazing feeling when you stop smoking. Experience it for yourself with help from Smoke Free. Our range of free support can help you quit for good. From our app to emails, face-to-face and online communities. Search Smoke Free, because there's only one you.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it, you just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call